r/the10thDentist. An author is Edford says. Multiple choice tests should include "I'm not sure" as an answer. Obviously it won't be marked as a correct answer, but it will prevent students from second guessing themselves if they truly don't know. If the teacher sees that many students chose this answer on a test, they'll know it's a topic they need to have a refresher on. This will also help with timed tests, so the student doesn't spend 10 minutes stuck on a question they don't know the answer to. They just select "I'm not sure." Tender Elastic and Egg says. YTF would anyone do that instead of guessing? An author is Edford says. I'm not sure. Omega Morkia says. This is the most checkmate answer I think I've seen in this sub. Bravo. Clem Cumber says. This is dumb. Saying "I'm not sure" is 100% chance of being wrong. Might as well just roll the dice and see if you can get the 33% chance of a correct answer. Matchamberg says. Well, sometimes when you mark the wrong answer on a multiple choice you get negative points. So to gamble is discouraged. Devilishno34 says. That's why most those tests only grade questions you answer, so instead of saying "I don't know" you put nothing. Humandisaston99 says. Well, there would have to be an incorrect answer penalty, otherwise no one would use it. And most don't like to implement incorrect answer penalties because it just adds unnecessary anxiety to test taking. r/the10thDentist. I can think of a name 667 says. It's okay to be loud in an apartment at a reasonable hour. I saw a post recently where a band was practicing in an apartment and received a noise complaint. I understand that is a bit much, especially at 8 PM. Even if it was at a reasonable hour, I can see how a band in an apartment can be too much. But to my surprise the comments seemed to imply that making any noise in your apartment is wrong and makes you a bad neighbor for disturbing the peace and quiet. I don't know how popular of a sentiment this is, or a dit standing on a soapbox attempting to be holier than thou. But the arguments made seemed to center around it not being anyone else's problem, that you needed to practice guitar/singing, or wanted to listen to music, or whatever. And also that it's inconsiderate to those who work nights, or have babies, or were sick, and needed to rest, etc. But by this logic it's not the person making noise's problem, that you need absolute quiet anyway. It's not anyone else's problem, that you work nights, or decided to have a baby. I feel like it's also completely unreasonable to expect everyone to be mute 24/7 because of this, especially during the day. People make noises and the things that a lot of people do for self-fulfillment require them to make noise. Yeah, you may have not signed up for a concert, but I didn't sign up to live like a monk who took a vow of silence. I feel like if you live near people, you simply have to accept that people make noise sometimes, and if hearing something reasonable muffled by a wall is that infuriating to you, maybe you should wear earplugs or maybe turn on your own shit. I must admit that this difference may arise from cultural differences. I have lived in Hawaii for the past decade. Everyone here is stacked on top of each other, sometimes even houses will have 3 to a lot. It's also not uncommon to have multiple generations living in the same house/condo. So maybe the threshold for acceptable noise is higher here. Antique Warthog 1045 says. 3-4 hours of a practice session in an apt is going to irritate your neighbors, guaranteed. Better to find a practice space. With babies, IDK, sometimes parents can control crying, sometimes they can't, but it's fair to say babies, band practice. Accidental Scientist says. I can understand babies to a certain extent. Some babies just cry. With certain babies, no amount of cuddling, play, holding, feeding, meds, etc. makes them stop. My sister was one, luckily they lived in a house. The neighbor who I had who practiced trumpet for an hour in the afternoon a few days per week was fine too. but there's limits. But babies make the limits harder because they don't respond to law and don't always react to help. Even Onion 4006 says, in my opinion, if it's excessive annoying noise then it's a bit disrespectful. Loudly talking or having a chill gathering is fine, but daily drink/coke binges with 8 insufferable friends is a different beast. It's why I can't wait to get my own 1-bed flat at some point without roommates. Funkarius says, 1-bed flat guarantees nothing. If the walls are thin you're still at the mercy of your neighbor's noises. r/the10thDentist. BB 250,517 says, math should be taught at a higher level in school. The reason why math is oftentimes regarded as useless and way too time consuming is because most people don't get why math is taught in schools in the first place. For example, when you have to dribble in pet while hopping backwards like a PASH commander, you think this is a weird exercise, but I guess it trains hand-eye coordination and stamina. When you are reading countless boring poems from hundreds of years ago in literature class, you think yeah this poem is boring as shit, but at least it trains media literacy. The point of math education is to learn how to use the tools provided, how to think outside the box, as much as I hate this expression. You don't realize this when you are learning base level maths. I see this in my classmates and even my mom. Whenever I did homework at hers, she would always make comments about how it's useless for us to learn all the different equations and formulas. For example, I was helping a friend of mine who is in base maths get ready for our final exams. There was a task with instructions like this. On a circle there are 4 vertices, A, B, C, D. After connecting the ones next to each other, AB is twice the length of the radius of the circle. BCD angle is 120 degrees. Also some other data was given regarding the lengths of other sections. What he got from reading the task is that there is circle with a quadrilateral inside it. What I got was that there is a cyclic quadrilateral, meaning opposing angles add up to 180 degrees. Abside is the diameter of the circle, so we can maybe do something with law of Thales. There is a given degree and some sides to it, so we can use law of cosines if it's needed. He is not stupid or anything. We both go attend a top 5 high school in our country, and I'm convinced if he was in higher level math in the last 4 years, he would have got all the info I got, but base level is just simply not teaching them this. It teaches them to use 1 out of 10 formulas they learned, based on information being handed to them on a silver platter. The fact is that when all you do in math is look at a few given data and just have to substitute them into one of the 3 formulas you learned for this type of task, you will think how in the hell is this useful? You only get how useful it can be when you get only a fraction of the data required to solve something, and you have to get the others by combining formulas, seeing how different laws chain together, how a seemingly unrelated thing can massively impact the speed of which you solve a task at. This way math wouldn't be regarded as a chore for the most of society and people would actually be better at it. It would lead to higher levels of education. J. Suscroist says, I understand your point. Math literacy is pretty abysmal in the world, but I don't get how your point fixes the issue. People view higher level maths as useless, because in most of daily life, it is. When would most people actually need complex geometry, quadratic formulas, or infinite sums? It seems impractical to make math more intensive when people already use it much less than their hand-eye coordination or language skills. Willa2645 says, so how does teaching even more advanced maths, that is more niche, and used by less people, going to help exactly? Don't get me wrong, maths is my favorite subject, and I understand its uses in everyday life, but for the people who don't like, and aren't good at maths, this won't help. Gladianaxa says, related but I can't stand when people say school should teach you how to do taxes. It does. It teaches you to read, to comprehend and follow instructions like those written all over tax documents. It's not difficult. Yuckfu says, I always hated math to the point that it just felt like torture. Epic Blue 24 says, yes, that is called app classes like app stats, app pre-calc, and app calc. Short grade 2662 says, I agree. Start with mathematical logic and real analysis, then work your way up. r/the10thDentist. Educational Gazelle 81 says, I like wasting my life. Context: I'm in uni right now. All I do is watch th shows and movie all day and study at the last moment and get passing grades. In the future I'll get a low-key job and keep on doing this. I once used to set goals and try to get better, but now life is so much easier and my performance is pretty much the same. I know many of you feel guilty for not doing your best or not achieving your potential, but realize it is your life. Stop pushing yourself. Having more stuff or money won't make you happier. Life's not a rat race. Chill out, and once you accept yourself as a loser, you're basically invincible. Nothing hurts, nothing disappoints. Thizan Zibberman says, are you really wasting your life if you're enjoying it? Educational Gazelle 81 says, facts. Jesus Christ says, I mean, I get the point, but you're literally in the part of your life with the least responsibility. You don't have to do chores, work a job, fix a broken shower drain, etc. Just saying, it won't last forever. Educational Gazelle 81 says, I live in a flat with a couple of my friends, so I have to chores plus I have part-time job as a waiter. The Bohemian Cowboy says, doesn't really sound like you're wasting your life, tbh. 7 volts says, you're in uni and passing, you're not wasting your life. Yologula Hobo says, in my opinion you can't really waste your life. You may do things that other people see as a waste, but as long as you're truly fine with what you're doing, then you shouldn't think of it as wasting your life. Personally, I do have some goals, but none that I feel like I would have to accomplish. Just some stuff I'd like to do as a hobby, like writing a book, not too seriously but just for fun. Otherwise I'm fine just getting a job that gives me a decent salary to live off. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.